just produced a small brochure called Boosting Biofuels, which talks about the sustainable potential for increased bioenergy, and that's something you might want to refer to for more detail, but I'd like to just give you a couple of highlights as relates to Latin America and Africa. The key to sustainable bioenergy is that we not convert forest to farmland, and we not interfere with food use. So we want to produce bioenergy in a way which will be environmentally beneficial and also support adequate nutrition. So there are two very important ways that we can do this. One is to use land more efficiently, and another is to reduce waste. In terms of using land more efficiently, it turns out that actual crop yields are less than half of what they could be. So if you were able to close the yield gap between actual and potential yields for crops, you could free up a lot of land for energy crops. And an example of this in Africa would be you can combine a nitrogen-fixing wood called Gliricidia with a food crop, maize, and this can allow you to, for example, triple the yield of the maize because the wood crop, in producing energy potential, has also improved the fertility of the soil. And an example in Latin America would be to raise livestock more efficiently on less land. And this is an approach that has been tried very successfully in Brazil. Instead of the animals just randomly eating some grass, you can raise food for the animals more intensively and reserve a substantial part of the land for other uses, such as bioenergy. When I talk about reduced waste, it's partly using the available farm residues and forest residues that can be collected sustainably. You can collect up to half the farm residues sustainably, and most of the wood residues in the forest, which would otherwise just rot and turn to carbon dioxide, might as well use them for something productive. And perhaps just as importantly is to use is not to waste food. It turns out that 1/3 of all food is lost or wasted. And so if we can reduce the waste and losses, for example, through better refrigeration and transportation infrastructure that will allow more food to arrive at the market on time in Africa, we can again create substantial potential to grow additional biofuels on the land you're no longer using to grow the food you're no longer wasting. Another very interesting area of potential is something arising from what's called the Bohn Challenge and the New York Declaration on Forests, which call for refurbishing 350 million hectares of degraded land and returning it to productive use. So if this land is returned to productive use, probably a substantial amount of energy as well as food could be extracted from it. So we think there's a lot of opportunities to raise more bioenergy in Latin America and Africa sustainably.